shocking realizations of adult life is that most of us are not fulfilling the most closely held dreams of our youth. Instead of pursuing dreams that were once integral parts of our personalities, we end up in one way or another fulfilling someone else's ideas about who and what we should be, usually at the expense of our creative urges. Those of us who become photographers are never satisfied with just looking at someone else's expression of something that is dear to us. We seek to make our own statements of individuality.
Galen Rowell has pursued his dreams and his landscapes on every continent, from the remote corners of the world to his home state of California. The breathtaking results of that pursuit appear in hundreds of magazines and books. But home base for Galen is Mountain Light, an elegant office in a quiet suburb of San Francisco.
Morning.
It may be surprising to learn that the photographer who creates spectacular and memorable images is totally self-taught. But photography is really a second career for Galen, a natural outgrowth of his love for mountain climbing and the wilderness.
What makes a great photo is a mystery to most people. They clearly recognize one when they see it hanging in a gallery, but not through the viewfinder of their own camera. For the next hour, I'll take you behind some of my favorite scenes and show you not only the methods I use to pre-visualize a photo through my camera, but also the role that luck plays in my work. When I first started out, I wanted to express myself physically, and I began mountain climbing, and backpacking, and doing things like that. And people didn't understand what I was doing, people who didn't go in the outdoors, and I needed a way to bring back my experiences and show them to my friends and to my family. So I started taking photographs of remote areas, of adventures, just for myself, so that I could share them with friends, and didn't have any idea of making it a career. Never dreamed that I could, because in the late 50s and early 60s, there were no careers in outdoor photography. For me, photography is always an action sport. I use my own action as part of my images and part of the idea for my images. I'm always moving, and I always consider myself a participant in my photographs. If I photograph an activity like climbing or skiing, where I actually am climbing or skiing, then that active component is obvious, because I'm there, and I'm not a spectator off to the side with a camera. I'm involved in the action. But that same feeling, that same emotion is there in my landscapes. I consider myself a part of the scene, and I don't accept what I first see. I don't say, okay, this is pretty, I'm going to take a picture of it. I think, here are some wonderful elements. How can I use my own participation and my own action to combine them in some wonderful, new, fresh way, and to make an image that I don't even see yet? And in that way, photography has led me to the most beautiful sights of my life. I think a lot of photographers have the misconception that if they were somehow transported to an exotic place, that they could make a wonderful photograph there instantly. I found out the opposite. After going on 35 expeditions all around the world, I found that the place that has the most for me is my home state of California. And here in the High Sierra, I find things with greater variety and greater passion for me than anywhere else in the world. And now I know it for sure. I thought it 20 years ago, but after traveling, I know that the things that turn me on are right here. And a lot of it is because I'm tied to them from early experiences as a child. And I come back, and there's just something in my bones that moves me. And that comes across in my photographs. And it might not come across my photographs if I get off an airplane somewhere in a foreign country and have 6 hours to go somewhere in a Jeep and photograph something. But here I can really tune into my passions and really get the feelings that are important to me into my pictures.
God, that looks so neat up there, but I sure don't need all this stuff. I'm gonna ditch my tripod. I'm gonna ditch this bag. This is my setup for carrying a camera when I'm running, hiking, climbing, doing anything active. And I can take an awful lot of my best shots traveling and moving around, skiing, doing anything like that, by having one camera and an elastic neckband that absorbs a lot of the shock so that I don't even know I have a camera on.
Technical proficiency is simply having good equipment and knowing how to use it. It's a matter of practice and a matter of learning. Personal vision is something else. It's artistry. It's learning to put yourself into your photograph. Not to stand in front of the camera and be part of the image. Here I am. But in a more subtle way, to make that image speak of who you are. To instead of standing back, way back, and taking a safe landscape that has everything in it, to move in tightly and risk yourself and come close and work things off of one another until you're being dangerously bold. And then you're giving something of yourself. You're creating a personal vision. You're making a statement with your photograph rather than standing back and taking it all in and having people look at that photograph and think, what's this photograph about? What am I supposed to be seeing?
Boy, that's a spectacular place. Yeah. Good shot. Just forget that I'm taking pictures. Yeah, I'm gonna get this with a 20mm lens here so I can get the ground and the climbers at the same time. Okay, I'm gonna come up. So if you can hang out.
A great photograph with a personal vision is very clear, and that vision is instantly conveyed to the viewer. In fact, a photograph doesn't succeed until the personal vision that the photographer has is recreated in the viewer's head. If the photographer has it and it doesn't come across, that photograph's failed. But when the viewer goes, aha, in the same way that the photographer did when he discovered the scene, then the photograph has succeeded. No, I'm just going to stand right here.
I can pre-focus this. And if you look, go ahead and make that next move. Oh, this is spectacular. Looks real good. Reach up like you're gonna, yeah, on the corner, great.
Color film sees every tone and every shadow differently than the human eye. And as I sought perfection in my color slides, I needed a way to pre-visualize exactly how those tones and shadows were going to appear. I read about Ansel Adams' zone system, but his control after a picture was made in printing and development wouldn't work for color because color has mutually dependent emulsion layers in the film. And as I was getting very frustrated, I thought, you know, film is a foreign language. It sees in a foreign language. How can I get through that? How can I understand that language? And I thought to myself, the best way that I could understand that language would be to have that language spoken to me. And I imagined, what would it be like if Kodachrome could tell me how it saw the world through a camera?
I am a frame of Kodak film, waiting for you to open the shutter. If I am properly exposed at 1/500th of a second, I pale at 1/250th, begin to bleach out at 1/125th, and I'm all but gone at 1/60th. At 1/1000th, I'm richly colored but dark. At 1/2000th, I blend the darkest shadows. I can see good detail within a brightness range of about 8 to 1. That sounds fine until you compare me with your remarkable human eye, which can see detail over a range of 2,000 to 1. No wonder you're always asking me for more than I can give. I see through one lens. You see through two. Don't expect me to see in 3 dimensions. If you want to show relative distance, you can only suggest it by the way you position objects within my frame. Don't believe that you're seeing all of what I see. You see through screens and mirrors, not from my precise vantage point behind the shutter. We don't see color alike. Colors change for you whenever you walk from one kind of lighting to another, but few of you are aware of it because the human brain continually interprets colors for you before you see them. My tones will be rigidly fixed by the lighting in which you take the photo. I give you colors you don't recognize as really having been there. I can help you see the world only if you understand how I respond to light, and if you wish to use me for what I do best. Without your guidance, I cannot produce an image that will be meaningful to you. The magic in me must come from you. Understand how I see the world, and I will be ready to record the magic of your own vision.
The IS